Welcome to this explainer. Today we're going on a seriously fascinating and honestly incredibly relevant journey. We're tracing the deep evolutionary genetics of the male chromosome all the way to modern, actionable solutions we can actually find in nutraceuticals. If you're focused on understanding the real biological reality of male health today, well, you're in exactly the right place. So what if I told you that the very chromosome responsible for male development, the Y chromosome, has literally been losing its genetic material for 166 million years, and that the data suggests it could eventually just vanish entirely? I know, it sounds like straight-up science fiction, but it's a completely documented biological phenomenon. Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the shrinking Y chromosome. Second, the modern health decline. Third, understanding erectile dysfunction. Fourth, nature's medicine cabinet. And finally, how we're taking back control. All right, let's dive right into section 1, the shrinking Y chromosome. When you look at our genetics, there's just this stark disparity between the male and female chromosomes. On one side, you have the X chromosome. It's robust, carrying roughly 900 genes responsible for all sorts of vital bodily functions. But on the other side, the Y chromosome, the one that actually distinguishes biological males from females, only retains about 55 genes. It's a massive difference. To put this into perspective, we have to go way back. Roughly 166 million years ago, human ancestors diverged from monotremes. Think animals like the platypus. Since that split, the Y chromosome has been degrading, losing about 5 genes every single million years. If you follow that math to its logical conclusion, projections suggest the Y chromosome could just vanish completely in about 11 million years. But here's the thing, we actually don't have to wait 11 million years to see the effects of this genetic degradation. We're seeing it right now in aging men through a condition called mosaic loss of Y. Basically, starting around age 50, a man's bone marrow stem cells can start dividing abnormally. The result? White blood cells that literally lack the Y chromosome altogether. By age 80, over 40% of men show this loss, and studies are linking it to shorter lifespans, a higher risk of heart disease, and a dramatically increased risk of Alzheimer's. Now, before we trigger a total sense of evolutionary doom here, remember that biology is incredibly resilient. Just look at the Japanese spiny rat. This species has entirely lost its Y chromosome, yet it's still successfully reproducing. Evolution basically found a workaround by duplicating a DNA segment that triggers male traits, even without the Y chromosome being there. It's just a wonderful reminder that nature almost always finds a way. Moving on to section 2, a modern health decline. Let's zoom in from millions of years of evolution to just the last few decades. In 2017, an international team led by Dr. Hagai Levine analyzed data from over 42,000 men, and what they found was wild. Between 1973 and 2011, the total sperm count among men in industrialized nations fell by a staggering 59%. Today, many men are falling below the 40 million sperm per milliliter mark, which is the threshold associated with reduced chances of conception. And you know, it's not just sperm counts taking a hit. According to a major study, average testosterone levels in men were steadily dropping by about 1% per year between 1987 and 2004. Think about that. That means a 65-year-old man in 2004 had significantly lower testosterone than a 65-year-old man did back in 1987. So what's actually driving this rapid change? Well, the scientific literature points to several environmental and lifestyle factors. For starters, we're seeing widespread exposure to endocrine-disrupting chemicals, stuff like pesticides and flame retardants, which really interfere with hormone production. On top of that, rising rates of obesity and a general lack of exercise are playing massive roles. Some experts are even suggesting that global warming and seasonal temperature shifts are negatively impacting sperm counts. That brings us to section 3, understanding erectile dysfunction. To understand how to fix an erection when it fails, we really need to understand the mechanics of how it actually works. First, endothelial cells lining the blood vessels activate. Second, they release a crucial mediator called nitric oxide, or NO. You can kind of think of nitric oxide as a traffic cop that opens up the vascular roads. Third, this NO stimulates the production of a molecule called cGMP. And finally, this causes the smooth muscle tissue to relax, allowing those blood vessels to dilate. When oxidative stress damages that traffic cop, the nitric oxide, the roads stay closed, and that results in erectile dysfunction. But there is some highly encouraging news coming out of the clinical literature. Researchers are extensively studying how nutraceuticals, which are bioactive products extracted from foods or natural compounds, can directly combat ED.
These natural remedies specifically target the exact biological pathways we just discussed, helping to reduce oxidative stress and modulate that endothelial function.
Let's explore that further in Section 4, Nature's Medicine Cabinet. Now, what's really interesting here is that unlike conventional pharmaceutical therapies, which often just target one specific mechanism, kind of like how a PDE5 inhibitor works, natural compounds actually operate as a broader network. Different plant extracts and amino acids can simultaneously address vascular dysfunction, hormonal imbalances, oxidative stress, and even psychological factors like anxiety. And we have the hard data to back this up. The Journal of Men's Health shows us exactly what to expect from these treatments, measured by the IIEF score or the International Index of Erectile Function. For example, the combination of L-arginine and pycnogenol leads the pack with a 3 to 6 point increase by directly boosting that nitric oxide production we talked about. Panax ginseng gives a solid 3 to 5 point increase through its powerful antioxidant effects. If the root issue is stress-related, an adaptogen like ashwagandha reduces cortisol and adds 1 to 3 points. And maca root? That reliably provides a 1 to 2 point improvement by modulating hormones and boosting cellular energy. Which leads us to our final section, Section 5, Taking Back Control. Look, we obviously can't individually stop the 166 million year evolution of the Y chromosome, right? But we absolutely can control our immediate biological environment today. Avoiding smoking and minimizing your exposure to industrial chemicals directly protects your hormones. Maintaining a balanced diet and engaging in regular exercise, that combats the vascular issues that suppress testosterone. And prioritizing good sleep and stress management keeps your cortisol levels down, which naturally protects your whole systemic health. Dr. Hagai Levine, who was the lead researcher on that massive sperm decline study we mentioned earlier, really hits the nail on the head here. He notes that while the impact of our modern environment is huge, every man can reduce exposure to chemicals, avoid smoking, keep a balanced diet and weight, and reduce stress. It's an incredibly empowering reminder of our own individual agency. So, as we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative thought. With the Y chromosome slowly shrinking over millions of years and our modern environments rapidly shifting our baseline health, what is the future going to look like? Are we going to rely on natural selection to eventually evolve a workaround, kind of like the Japanese spiny rat did? Or will human intervention, through our lifestyle choices and the smart, targeted use of nutraceuticals, ultimately be what shapes and secures the future of male health? Thank you so much for learning with me today. Stay curious, stay focused, and I'll catch you in the next one.